Hello everyone, thank you so much for clicking on today's video and welcome to my channel. In today's story, OP comes from a family that has a very interesting family dynamics. And in the heat of the moment while trying to manage her father's outburst, she outs her aunt for being a stripper before she got married to her uncle. Things eventually do blow up, but luckily we find out that the apple fell very far from the tree and things start looking up. Stay tuned for the update to find out. I do hope that you enjoyed the story. If you do, please leave a thumbs up. And before I move on to the story, I just wanted to take a second and thank all of my subscribers. Thank you so much, you guys are amazing. For those of you that don't know, I have a personal goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers. So if you like my content and would like to support me, I would really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button. Anyways, thank you so much for your time and on to the story. Am I the a-hole for calling my aunt classless and outing her biggest secret to my whole family? I, a 25-year-old female, have always been really close to my cousin D, a 22-year-old male. He had a harder time growing up because his parents had some financial difficulties. He never went to bed hungry, but they didn't have much money for luxuries. My uncle met his wife in a strip club where she was dancing. No one in the family knows this, but she left that work when she got married. They have a business, which Dee works for, that struggled for years, but was one of the businesses that became vital during the pandemic, so things really turned around for them and they are making bank. This means that a few months back, my cousin could have an amazing wedding and a 2-month-long worldwide honeymoon. I was really happy for and proud of him. I grew up solidly middle class. Nothing lavish, but we had some things that some would consider luxuries. My parents, however, were not in a position to pay for college for me, which I was chill about and I got loans. I've been working for 2 years and I still live with my parents while I pay off the loans. I unfortunately couldn't get my master's because it wasn't financially viable. Last weekend was my birthday party and my cousin showed up without a gift. His wife made a comment jokingly about how they can't afford anything after spending X amount of dollars on their wedding. None of this bothered me because gifts are not an expectation, but my dad was visibly upset. I asked him about this and he opened up a can of worms. It turned out that I used to have a healthy college fund until my mom secretly lent it to my aunt and uncle to help save their business when I was 15. The agreement was that as soon as they were able to, they would pay it back to my mom. They haven't returned a single dime. They have, in fact, in the last 3 years, bought a second house, flown first class overseas twice and paid for Dee's wedding and honeymoon. Their excuse is that I'm done with college and their son works hard so he deserves it more. My father got so annoyed at my aunt while relaying this to me that he decided to kick them out. While trying to calm him down, I said, "We both know that she only thinks about herself and Dee. If she had any class, she wouldn't dress like she's still a stripper." I was so preoccupied, I didn't realize that my entire family had quietly walked up with candles lit, ready to sing to me, and they heard everything. My aunt left and has since sent my mom a message that they will never be seeing that money as it is now compensation for her pain and suffering. I didn't mean to out her and be so rude. I was dealing with a lot of emotions and shock over this, and I still am. My family doesn't know why we were so angry, so they just think that I'm an a-hole and I don't want to tell them the whole story. But I'm not sure if it's excusable either way. So, am I the a-hole? The overall judgment was not the a-hole, but here are some comments from Redditors and OP's replies to those comments. One Redditor said, "Everyone's an a-hole here, and by everyone, I mean you, your dad, your aunt, and uncle. Of course everyone sucks here. Your dad gave out a loan there was no way to repay until maybe a year or so ago, and I'm assuming he never followed up when he noticed the apparent success. How trashy to make such a comment at a family affair. Your stripper comment and burning resentment is misdirected. Your dad loaned out the money and created the situation, not your aunt. Pain and suffering? I roll. But seriously, are you sure that it was a loan and not a gift? If it's been a decade and your dad hasn't addressed it, then there's a good chance that they forgot or misunderstood. and Dee did nothing wrong. To which OP replied, "So I didn't bring it up at first because it doesn't impact much, but my mom has explained it since. She had a contract with them. She's brought it up since, and that's when my mom said Dee deserved it more. My mom has made legal inquiries but is currently going through chemo and is unable to follow through legal action at this point. And yes, Dee is entirely blameless." Another Redditor said, "Not the a-hole. What? She stole from you because they never paid it back, although they could have. Messed with your dreams but provided her family with everything, all while rubbing it in your face, including at your own birthday party? Why would your mom even keep them around after all of this? Messed up." To which OP replied, "Like, I get it, yes, but she has other qualities. My mom has been going through chemo, and my aunt goes with her to keep her company and does her nails while they're there. She's wrong in this, but that's why my mom has always been too chill about it, and that's why she's still in our lives." Another Redditor said, "Everyone's an a-hole here, but mostly your mother and her brother. Your mother apparently stole your college money to give to her brother. I don't know why you all are acting like it's all the ex-stripper's fault. Put the blame where it belongs." To which OP replied, "The contract was between my mom and my aunt because the business is in her name. Not saying it's right, but that's why." Another Redditor asked for more information. "Does your cousin know the source of the money that saved your business was your college fund?" Not the a-hole either way, but it really puts that trashy remark from his wife in perspective. If he knows, that was a deliberate and cruel insult. To which OP replied, "I have no idea if he knows or not. I've apologized for what I said about his mom and he has accepted it, but yes, he needs some space, which I understand. I do not want to be the one to tell him, or anyone, about the loan, and he hasn't brought it up. His wife is lovely but a little clueless sometimes. I helped them plan the wedding and so knew the budget. I doubt that she has a malicious bone in her body and highly doubt that it was intentional. But yes, she has some maturing to do still." The overall judgment was not the a-hole, and then OP gave some answers to some common questions. They say, "The money was in a savings account that was going to be used for my college costs. It was in my mom's name and so legally hers. She told my dad when I was applying for colleges, and he's known for some time. I don't know if it affected their relationship and don't plan on asking. Her and my father have done little to get the money back because she's not coping well with the stress due to being sick. My aunt was upset because I outed a 25-year-long lie, more so than people knowing her previous work. I've apologized to her for what I said via text messages and have left it at that. I have yet to hear back from her. I've also confronted my prejudice against sex workers privately. I won't deny that I've judged her because of it. It's not something that I'm proud of. And this all blew up at a bad time because my dad had overheard that my aunt is so proud of my cousin for moving out and living on his own at 22. He just boiled over on my behalf. My cousin asked me to meet him alone this morning. It turned out that he knew nothing about it at all. His mom had been keeping it quiet. He took this week to consult with a lawyer to figure out how much they owe. He has also recently uncovered two things. Firstly, the business has been evading tax, so he's very glad that we didn't take legal action. He started the process to come clean and pay that back. Secondly, she also borrowed money from my grandparents, a decent amount, which she never paid back. They've since passed away, so the lawyer said that the amount will form part of the estate and will be divided between the three siblings. My cousin offered to sell his house to pay in full immediately if it needed to be, but as an alternative, he and his lawyers have created a payment plan that would pay for my master's immediately. They will take over my loan repayments immediately. Once it is paid, they will continue paying my mom back monthly until the total is settled. We will obviously be going with the plan where he doesn't lose his home. Despite my cousin and his lawyer seeming fair, they both advised me to find my own lawyer for my mom's interest, so they have offered to pay for that also. Because of the age of the loan and lack of offer to collect on my mom's side, they could legally contest it, or some of it, but my cousin won't be doing that. My cousin apologized to me profusely and said that he wouldn't ask me to keep the secret from the family, but appreciates that I kept it to myself and hopes that we can continue that as long as he upholds the agreement we make. My cousin is an amazing human and will be working with him to try and make the impact of his mother's actions on his life be as little as possible while remaining fair. And the best part of all of this was that he planned on giving me my birthday gift after my party when we were alone because he didn't want to steal my thunder. It was a gift card and inside the envelope was a sonogram. I'm going to be a grandmother soon and I cannot wait. In a reply to a comment asking about the ultrasound being her gift, it was just his way of telling me there was a decent gift card in there to a pricey pet supply store that I like as well. So guys, what did you think about this? I am so glad that the cousin has better values than his mother, because honestly, that is such a horrible thing to do, to borrow money from someone's college fund and know that that individual has student loans and then refuse to pay it back when you have the means. That's such a horrible thing to do. And that brings me to my second point, which is never ever ever loan money to your family, ever, especially extended relatives. If they've come to the point where they're asking you for money instead of going to the bank, you know that the situation is very, very dire. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't give them the money. Just realize that there's a good chance that they're not going to pay you back. So if you do decide to loan out the money, just realize that there's a good chance that they might not be paying it back and that you should kind of perceive it as a gift. I say that as someone who's very trusting and has lost a lot of money in quote-unquote family loans. Also, if you do decide to loan out any sort of money, make sure that there's paperwork. Either see a lawyer if it's an extremely large sum, but even if it's a small sum, just Google something off the internet and make sure that the other party signs it and is dated. And most importantly, it's attested by a notary. That's just so very important. Anyways, what do you guys think? What would you have done? How do you feel about this? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you did like the story, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a thumbs up. And please subscribe if you'd like to hear more stories from Reddit with updates.